build more stake or interest in it from a fan perspective into your league, your world, your athletes, your celebrities.
Eric, welcome. Thanks for hopping on today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Well, it's my pleasure. We're going to get right into the questions here. Eric, to start, can you explain what Momental is and how exactly it's using Hedera?
Sure thing. Momental is a Web3 agency, and we're really an implementation partner to help brands and companies adopt the benefits of blockchain, specifically Hedera.
Perfect. Perfect. So, you were talking about those brands. Can you talk about some brands that you're working with now and the type of brands that you're targeting for the future?
Yeah, for sure. So our initial product that we developed was Third Act. Third Act Digital is a marketplace for theater collectibles. So helping fans and producers tokenize and collect their favorite moments from the performing arts. That gave us a lot of insight into the technology, its use cases within Hedera, and how fans can interact with digital collectibles. And we ultimately kind of white labeled our tech stack to be able to allow other brands and companies to create their own marketplaces and their own solutions for consumers and fans for their specific IP. So another brand or league that we work with is the MLPB, Major League Paintball. That's the global league for paintball around the world, or pro paintball. So that's everything from the NXL, which is the North American League, the WNXL, the Women's League, the EU, Asia, Latin America. So they have a ton of fans that are kind of a niche sport that is really starting to break out. They just got back onto ESPN last year and are getting more coverage there. So really excited to be working with them. And we've done everything from tokenizing their players into player cards to adding a layer of fantasy sports where we're using live stats from their stats feeds to connect them to the cards and create a fantasy game where you own the cards and you can compete and play and win real prizes from the league.
Oh, that's awesome. So I do have to ask, you talked about how it's broken up into different geographies. Do they have like a Super Bowl once, those leagues have finished their season? Do they actually have like a world championship?
They absolutely do. Yeah, every year they have World Cup, and the winning teams from the other leagues come to the States and compete against a handful of the US teams, and they have a global tournament.
I'm kind of involved with this space more from a utility level with Twigital. We do some stuff with different sports leagues as well. We talked about Karate Combat. They're one of the ones that we're touching on now. I'm sure we have the potential for some collaboration around this stuff. But where do you see Web3 consumer and fan engagement going in the years to come?
I mean, that's the $1 million question right there. I think that there's a lot of tools out there. There's a lot of solutions that have been built that are waiting for more people to take hold of them and use them. I think the future of it is really more people kind of getting a hold of some of the things that are already built that are helping, create new assets or digital experiences for properties they already love. So I think you'll have Web3 and blockchain being more of a trusted layer of the internet for entertainment experiences. So if there's going to be more and more digital experiences, more and more digital companion show programs or digital tickets, having blockchain as a verification layer is super valuable. And I think that trust is going to be needed, especially as, and we could go down a rabbit hole around AI here, but especially as AI gets better and there's a question of authenticity around the content that we're consuming and collecting. Things like blockchain will help verify, the reals from the fakes.
Well, let's dive down that AI rabbit hole. There has been an awful lot of excitement around it from a lot of different places. Hedera is really grabbing the bull by the horns. There's a lot of potential touch points between DLT and AI. How's Momental looking at it?
Yeah, I think right now we're looking at it as that verification layer. I think the AI piece, I use it a lot creatively to kind of produce content. And I think that I'm still waiting to figure out how to connect it to blockchain in a way that makes sense beyond verifying, because I think it democratizes creation and creativity, AI. And so you need that certifying stamp of who's made this, who's contributed to it, who's featured in it, whether it is an entertainment digital collectible or it's a news article, and having something that, like, could the journalist that's submitting the article have something connected to the blockchain or be associated with their wallet and they sign off on an article? Could that help verify things? That's kind of where I'm thinking about it right now. Otherwise, I think we've got a ways to go in just making it simpler. I think those are some of the things I touched on earlier around making tools that we already have some tools that we just need people to take a hold of and see how great they are. But while that, we wait for that adoption, I think just continuing to build things that people want, that gets them closer to the entertainment properties they love, getting them closer to the athletes and celebrities they love, and having some kind of a souvenir or like emotional souvenir from an experience, whether that's going to a concert, going to a sports game, going to a Broadway show that is authentic from the rights holder.
That makes perfect sense. Now, I think this went, when the internet first came out and when, social media first hit, there's a feeling from a lot of these brands that we know we need to get involved, but we don't know how to do it in the right way. What's your pitch look like when you're talking about Web3 to these different brands that know that it is probably the future, but how do we actually get engaged?
Yeah, I think right now we're seeing a lot of gamified examples of Web3, and I think that's the shoehorn that we found a way in, which is sort of gamified customer loyalty in a sense. That's been pretty promising, and I think meeting customers or fans really where they are is always the thing we have to remember. And so we initially launched the Armory as a collectibles marketplace that just was purely based on collectibles and had fully official licensed assets that depicted the players, that had the league, had tournament logos and everything. And we added the fantasy element on as a layer because it didn't exist within the sport. And that opened us up to a whole other group of people who would just wanted to play fantasy. And they're like, and that kind of shoehorned them, to use the expression again, shoehorned them into, oh, there's these collectibles and what do they do? Why do I need them? And then, you meet that kind of tension there, which is the technology is still kind of polarizing itself. And sometimes it seems more like a hurdle than kind of an accelerant to the experience. So I think we talk about, to go back to your original question, we're kind of talking to people and brands around this space in a gamified kind of lens, making sure that we're pushing for what people want and meet them where they are. And if you think about a lot of big brands already have large customer bases, where is engagement lacking? Where is drop off? For example, paintball has 5 large tournaments a year. In between those tournaments, there's nothing, and it goes pretty quiet. And it's actually similar to karate combat in some ways. We have these tentpole moments where there's just insane engagement and everybody's watching and you can live stream it around the world. And then a day or two after, or really when the event stops, it goes really cold. It goes relatively less engagement. So it's about creating these kind of passive, almost like casual games that can sustain some interest over time and build more stake or interest in it from a fan perspective into your league, your world, your athletes, your celebrities.
Well, I think you're focused on the right place. Karate combat does get that huge amount of engagement.
Oh, it's amazing.
The amount of growth that they've seen has been amazing as well. But they are focused on the exact same thing of what can we do in the meantime? And they have different ways that they've tried to engage so far, but it's certainly a good focus area. All right, Eric, is there anything else that you'd like to pass on before we let you go?
I would say if you haven't already, check out mlpbarmory.com. That's really our flagship product that we're just doing some updates for 2025. We've got a really great kind of buy-in from the entire league, the players, the industry. So it's really great to have that wind at our backs. I would say check out that platform because you've got players joining and involved with it as well as fans. So there's a really interesting cross-section of consumers that are involved. And keep an eye out because we're going to be doing some updates all month long, some giveaways for the upcoming season. There's a new fantasy format where you can win rewards for individual tournaments and season long. So check that out and try to follow us on X as well.
We'll put that stuff up. But either way, thank you so much for coming on and good luck with Momental.
Thanks so much, Brandon.
I'm now posting these interviews of Hedera builders independently to my channel. The community, influencers, and media outlets are free to use this content to spread the word on what's being built on Hedera. Once they're all uploaded, you'll be able to go to my channel and search for whatever topic or team you're interested in to find more information. Or you'll be able to get the most recent Hedera news by watching the latest HBAR weekly update. So check them out.